Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Miscellaneous Gab, and wow, oh wow, do we have a lot to discuss with this past week's episode of White Lotus.
God, I don't think there's a drug in the world that would make me get with my brother.
Same, Chelsea, same. Now, if you're in agreement with Chelsea, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button down below. White Lotus episode 6 of season 3 was aptly called Denials, but it could have very well been called Consequences. Some pretty insane consequences after what happened during the full moon party. Wild things always happening around the full moon, guys. Really wild things in this case. We begin with what I, like many believe to be, Tim finally pulling the trigger. This whole time I'm thinking he's not gonna do it, he's not gonna do it, and then when the episode starts with him doing it, so far we've just been sitting with Tim and his fear and the fallout of his consequences, but to see the impact pulling the trigger would have on his family was truly harrowing. Luckily, he snaps out of it and the episode truly begins. I wouldn't put it past White Lotus to actually begin an episode this way, which is why I was pretty convinced that that's what was actually happening. The episode opens with the beginning of another day. We see Guy Talk riding along to dream up ways to recover his gun. Spoiler alert, he does recover it, and I'm not really going to spend too much time this video talking about Guy Talk. I think we'll see a lot more from him and possibly Mook in the next episode. Kate is up early talking to her husband, most likely, when she sees Valentine leaving Jacqueline's room. The yacht is on its way back from the full moon party, soaked in sin and semen. This time, Saxon gets to wake up with a full shot of Lochlan's naked booty. Reminders of the previous night start to creep back in. As he's reflecting, this is the type of hangxiety that many of us would never dream of having, hopefully. Being that intimate alongside your brother, but that isn't even the worst of it. What he remembers in this moment is just the beginning. Lochlan says he completely blacked out, and Saxon is quick to jump on board with that. The way the camera focuses in on Lochlan's face, we get that quiver of his mouth, the little sheepish thing that he does with his mouth. It always hovers for just a moment too long. Now I'm thinking back to this great little magician, the trickster, the master of illusion. What is Lochlan hiding? What sort of darkness lies beneath that seemingly innocent countenance? After we get a close-up shot of a dead pufferfish, indicating that death is coming. Now, pufferfish are also poisonous and toxic to humans, so don't forget there's another toxic poisonous thing lying around, and that is that fruit from the mighty pong pong tree. Maybe when Tim realizes that his gun is nowhere to be found, he'll make a smoothie in Saxon's blender with some pong pong fruit on the side to help him go out the good old-fashioned way before guns were invented. Honestly, watching Saxon, who always seems so smarmy and sure of himself, slowly lose it was very enjoyable. The horrified look on his face, the way he wants to forget, but all he can do is remember. Now let's talk a little bit about Chloe. So after banging essentially a child, she looks mighty pleased with herself, as if this is not her first rodeo. She seems quite ready to cover up her hedonism and make things right with Greg, only he smells bullshit. Probably because he's already bribed the deckhands to tell him everything. I mean, it's his boat. Now, Chelsea, whose pure and loyal heart escaped the antics from last evening, says,
"The Libra rising, for God's sake, that makes you a quality person."
I love Chelsea, but I think her character serves to remind us how we use astrology and intuition and all these other Enneagram weird label type of situations to make character judgments off of people. It's clear that Chelsea has a big heart, but she is not the best judge of character. She rightly calls Saxon soulless at some point in this episode, which is true, but when it comes to her friend Chloe, Chloe is clearly a bad person. Speaking of Chelsea, I cannot stand the way Rick talks to her. I know the internet is in love with Walter Goggins, but Rick, sir, we need to have a chat. We get a beautiful shot of Greg's house on top of the hill. Honestly, a little jealous, Greg, but I know what it took to get there. So therefore I am not jealous. Greg seems annoyed that Chelsea boinked one or more of the brothers, but I think he's going to hold this over her head to get what he wants out of the situation. I'm excited to see what happens next episode. I think the party, the dinner, the culminating effect of that and the tension running high is certainly going to spill over in ways that we probably can't even imagine. Belinda wakes up with the hunky porn chai ragdolled across her naked body and her adult son Zion walking in. Zion has finally entered the picture. Honestly, it seems like her and her son have a great relationship and could easily kind of laugh it off and joke about it later. I imagine since his mom is single and been through quite the ordeal over the past couple years that he's genuinely happy for her that she's getting some action. Honestly, this episode was full of believable, awkward tension, and I feel like this is one of the things that the White Lotus does so well.
Gotta get gangster around here.
Belinda and her son catch up over breakfast, and it seems like he's not getting a little something something, poor guy. Fabian is the best little comedic relief, little nugget roly-poly man that there is on this show. He comes over and invites Belinda to a singing dance performance. He's finally going to sing. He's quite nervous about it. We see him practicing on the way to work. Honestly, I would think it was kind of cute and endearing and charming if he hadn't iced Belinda out and totally left her nervous about the potential murder target. So I kind of love how she gives him a little stink face. She's not giving much to him. She's like, okay, nice. Break both legs.
Break a leg, okay? Both of them, all right?
That's more than Fabian deserves, in my opinion. Let's talk about the three girls. Guys, I hope White Lotus, if it's taught you one thing above not making out with your brother, among other lessons, that is not to go on a girls' trip with just three girls. The dynamics, they can never work. Someone is always missing out. Kate shares the gossip with Lori over breakfast, and her reaction is priceless.
It's demented.
Kate wonders why Lori cares so much, but I honestly completely understand where Lori is coming from. For one, she clearly cheated on her husband, who she's so obsessed with. I feel like not enough attention is really given to that. It's just kind of assumed that they maybe have an open relationship, but the way she was talking about him didn't make me think that at all. Second, it is very weird that she was pushing Valentine on Lori this whole time when it was her intention to kind of win out over her sad, pathetic, divorced friend and get the guy. It felt very high school. It felt very middle school. It felt very Mean Girl. I am not Team Jacqueline, and I totally understand the reason why Lori wanted to call her out and maybe even antagonize her a little bit, especially when she couldn't just admit it. It'd be one thing if she was like, you know what, yeah, I totally messed up. I got way too drunk. I feel awful. This looks so bad on me. But the fact that she's in denial when clearly everybody knows. Lochlan and Saxon return, and Saxon makes a beeline for his emotional support blender to make an emotional support smoothie. Now, unfortunately, due to the consistency and color of this emotional support smoothie, it's not really fixing what ails him, if you catch my drift. Lochlan jumps in to support his sister, looking sheepish and awkward. He clearly ditched her in her time of need to go on the yacht and is now trying to get back in her good graces. Saxon is back to his sulking, and he heads over to the pool where he meets with Chelsea and then Chloe. He asks Chelsea,
I just don't understand why you wouldn't hook up with me.
Chelsea then says,
Hooking up with you would be an empty experience because you're soulless.
so I guess Chelsea is a good judge of character on some occasion. I don't know if this is going to penetrate past the steroids, past the thick skull, past the protein powder swimming around Saxon's brain, but if anything is gonna kind of make you reevaluate maybe things in your life, it might be what you did with your brother the night before and this random girl who's known you for 48 hours calling you soulless. One would like to think that might be an opportunity for introspection. Chloe comes through and breaks the news, making Saxon's horror even worse. Not only was he doing inappropriate things in the same room as his brother jerked him off. He tries to play it off, no, I was blacked out, and just the way, watching it a couple times, the way Chloe's like,
What about last night?
That was a joke.
What part was a joke?
Then Chelsea hits us with my favorite line from the whole episode.
I don't think there's a drug in the world that would make me get with my brother.
Remember, thumbs up if you agree. She then says no judgment.
I don't judge, okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Everyone has their thing. It's fine.
What's my thing?
I'm sorry, but plenty of judgment. Lots of judgment. Okay, can we just agree this is the type of thing that earns judgment, perhaps? The Ratliff family goes to meet with the monk. Lochlan goes after changing out of his probably soiled outfit from the night before. Piper brings her family to meet the monk and see the monastery where she intends to spend at least a year. Now, I don't know exactly what Piper is looking for. I think she seems genuine when she wants to get away from her family, but I think the show does a great job of really capturing her nervous energy, her emotion, the awe that she has for this man, for this monk, for the author of the books. It's very clear that he has changed her life in some way or another, and she is trying to find something through this experience. The monk talks with Tim and probably tells him things that he's never even considered. The self, evading pain, the merits of suffering, the beautiful cyclic nature of what it means to die, a water droplet returning to the ocean. If anything, I feel like this moment gives Tim more resolve to off himself because the monk kind of spun it in a positive way. Victoria tells Piper she will give her her blessing if she spends the night at the monastery. I do kind of get, and I can't wait to see what happens here. I think it's one thing to be like, meditation is cool, Buddhism is cool, this is totally different from how I grew up, I want to run towards this, F my family. But girl, if you're used to staying at the Four Seasons, the White Lotus, traveling in business and first class, the way, the simplicity, the minimalism, the monk-like nature of a monk's lifestyle might actually be a shock to your system. Prim and proper Piper. Say that 3 times fast. I'm very intrigued to see how this sleepover goes. I think Victoria should have just led with that. Spend a couple nights there. Let us know how you like it. If you do, if it's a good fit. Lochlan offers to stay with her, and I just don't like the way his little face twitches. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna go after his sister next? Meanwhile, Guy Talk is back at the villa retrieving the gun. I love this tension-filled moment of him passing the Ratliff family, terrified they will stop him and demand what he was doing in their villa. However, it just indicates how much the Ratliffs are truly living in their own little world. They don't even really turn their head to look at him, even when Guy Talk makes eyes at them. Rich people ignoring the staff, thinking they're the main characters at all time. That's kind of what this show is all about. Later, Tim talks to his wife about what would happen if they lost everything after chatting with the monk. He clearly knows that this might be on the radar of things that might indeed happen to them. Victoria says that Piper needs to fear poverty like everyone else we know. She straight up tells him that if they lost everything, she wouldn't want to live.
I don't have the will. I just don't have it in me.
You gotta love a woman for her honesty. But I'm sure this is the last thing that a man in Tim's position wants to hear, or a man general. I feel like just like a woman loves to ask her man, would you love me if I was a worm? A man wants to hear from his woman that she would love him if he lost everything. $40,000 gold Rolex hanging off your wrist, flopping around. It's not even there to tell time. Why is it so loose? Why is your watch so loose? This adds another layer of complexity to his dilemma, which is why he sort of daydreams about shooting her as well, taking her out with him. At the monastery, we see Lochlan shut off his monkey mind, and what waltzes into the picture? A reminder, more detailed reminder of the previous evening. Now, this whole episode, I was wondering, did Lochlan actually remember? What is he up to? But it does feel like he gets a little bit of a shock and a little bit of horror when he does recall the memories from the previous night. We can only wonder what he will do with this newfound knowledge next. Now, Belinda runs into Greg, jump scare, poor girl, last person you want to see just kind of waltzing into your frame. He invites her over to his house. Now, I don't know in what world she would be down to actually go to his house under the guise of, I think we should talk. Again, I would be calling Interpol faster than you can say hello. Now that I know where you live, I can call them and not cause a scene at the White Lotus. Part of me thinks she will go, that she'll tell Zion everything, and that he'll come with her to confront him. I do think they need to find a way to get everybody to that house because I think some shit is gonna go down there. Do you think Belinda will actually show up or not? Let me know in the comments. Rick finally makes it over to the Hollinger house under false pretenses. They pass the bodyguards, enter their beautiful home, and then they meet Sritala and see a shadow of an older man coming down the stairs. He's blurry and we never actually get to see what he looks like. So the real question here is this Rick's actual father that has faked his own death and ran away to go live and own parts of Thailand? Or is it just Jim Hollinger and we just don't see him come into focus because that's the first place where the next episode will kick off? What do you guys think Rick is going to do? I'm kind of inclined to believe that it's not his father. He'll have a conversation with him and maybe he'll learn further things that complicate his idea of his father. Maybe his father was actually the bad guy. Maybe it is his father. I don't know. So that's the episode, guys. What will happen? Things are really heating up and they are finally reaching a boiling point. So what do we think will happen next episode? What will happen at Greg's house? Will Rick confront Jim Hollinger? Will they have a calm discussion? Will it be violent? Now, I predict there will be a standoff between Greg and the brothers because he knows there's one brother involved. He doesn't know it was both. He doesn't know which one. And I kind of expect there to be some overhearing. We know that Tim and Victoria plan to come to the house, and I think it's going to leak out what happened between the brothers and someone is going to overhear it. Probably Tim and Victoria. Tim will maybe finally go to off himself once he realized the type of children he's raised, only to find the gun is not there. So will he make a fruit shake of the pong pong tree and poison himself? Someone's got to get poisoned by the end of this season, guys. What's going to happen to the three girlfriends? Will they go off? I do hope they show the Muay Thai fight. Now, I used to fight Muay Thai when I lived in Thailand, so I selfishly want to see what will happen with the fight. And I also want to see what Valentine's actual plans are with the women because I still think he's running a scam. How will Chloe end up aiding and abetting Greg and potentially getting into deep where she will never actually be able to expose him? Let me know what you thought of this episode. Let me know what you think will happen next. Now, before I end this, I do want to thank all of my Waffle Party VIP members on Patreon. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. Thank you to all my other Patreon supporters as well. Consider joining my Patreon by clicking the link in my bio. Join the fun. I think we'll be starting a Discord soon so we can chat about these episodes as soon as they come out. We also have tons of discussion threads going up there on Severance. We're doing a rewatch of season 1. Thank you so much for your support. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button, you know why, and I'll see you next time. Bye.